It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.
And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan, and I thank you for watching a live broadcast here at the Logan Power Show. I know that you are very attentive to what we got going on in the Logan Power Show. You know I'm a sports fan, and I'm all about education. I'm all about helping the youth. I got 3 panelist guests here. They're going to talk about what they do and how they want to make a huge impact. So I'm excited. So the first, I'm going to go ladies first. We're going to go with first Coach Angela. And again, Coach herself is Coach from Cross High School. So Coach Angela, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. So some people get some more in-depth information about yourself. Tell us about, who you are and how long you've been coaching.
I'm Coach Hall. Going into my second year of coaching at Cross High School. I came back into coaching, started back coaching when Reese Felder reached out to me because I had kind of like stepped back for a while to take care of my mom. And so he reached out to me, see if I was ready to come back into coaching and everything, and came back and went back in full speed and everything. And then he resigned and recommended me for the job along with a few other people. And I got the head coaching job down at Cross. But before that, I have been coaching probably going on a good 25 plus years ever since I graduated college. I started back coaching, working with the kids in the community. Started with the rec league in Holly Hill. I did that for a while and coached at Holly Hill Roberts High School before it became Lake Marion. I did that for like 3 or 4 years before I left altogether and came back. When I came back first time, I was came back with Coach English, Yusuf English. He got me in the travel ball, and it took off from there and went to Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. Stayed there for about 7 to 9 years, I believe it was. Started with the JV program. That's where I stayed, became head coach of the JV program. And from there to Cross for my when I came back the second time. Hopefully it won't be a third time. I just love working with the kids and trying to provide an opportunity for them to better improve on their skills, life situations, just, let them know that there's something out there for them.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again. We'll get our other panelists up. Our very own Miss Coach Champagne. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are y'all?
Fantastic, fantastic. Coach, just tell a little bit about yourself and a little bit of how long you've been coaching for the youth.
Okay. So Champagne. I've been coaching. I've coached for 15 years. I've had some stints at different schools in the Low Country with Military Magnet, James Island, Fort Dorchester, Baptist Hill. So, I've spent my years coaching girls, 12 years coaching girls. 3 years I spent with the varsity boys basketball team. And then I stopped coaching and continued on teaching. And then I eventually stopped teaching just to focus on new mentality. And I'm still working with kids, still out there utilizing my education skills to make a difference, not only in just the children within the people that I coached or taught, but different kids around the state and other states. So my main focus is basically instilling a level of discipline and a knowledge and providing wisdom for these kids to understand exactly what it takes to get to the next level, because it looks easy, but the work ethic has to match. So That's pretty much what I'm doing now, and just expanding new mentality to be able to work with a lot of kids that are hungry to get to that next level.
Very commendable of you, Coach. I'm glad to see what you're doing. And our final guest, again, he's doing some great things. Very own Coach Dan. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, how are you guys? Happy to be here. Thank you, Coach Says, Angela, and Calvin for having me today.
Yes, sir. And tell us a little bit about yourself, about how long you've been coaching, and how you got to where you are today.
So, my story kind of starts from when I was a kid. I always grew up playing basketball and other sports, but really through high school is when I started narrowing it down to just basketball. As soon as I graduated high school, didn't really have college basketball teams calling my name, or back in 2004 it really was different than it is now. But so the next best thing was just to volunteer coaching at my high school with my old former coach. Shout out Coach Sag and Coach Kill. You guys are awesome for having me back then. But then it just kind of, I didn't know what I wanted to do professionally, didn't know what career path I was going to do. And then I became an educator. And my very first year teaching, I just jumped right in, coached 1 year of girls middle school basketball, and then transitioned over to the boys basketball program here at River Oaks Middle School. Been here for about 13 years. Coach Says will tell you a little bit about my program. It's pretty stellar track record. But my biggest thing is the same as Coach Says, making sure that these young kids have a good head on their shoulders, that their mentality is in the right mindset. And with me particularly, it's a faith thing for me. I not just in a sense of religion, or in a type of God you believe in, whatever it is. It's more about believing in yourself and never losing that faith in yourself. And that's something I preach to every team that I coach. We cannot lose faith in ourselves. We cannot lose faith in each other. Definitely don't lose faith in me, because I'm always going to fight for our kids. That whether they're students, whether they're athletes, it doesn't matter. That's just the bottom line. I'm not gonna let you fall to the wayside. So that's why I'm here. That's why Coach Says brought me here, and we're trying to do big things with the kids here in the Low Country. If basketball is their calling, that's what we're gonna provide them. We're gonna provide them with skills and training techniques that they're gonna get them to the next level. But if basketball is not their calling, we're going to get them in the right mindset. So whatever it is that they have going on, it's going to be, hey, here's the X, Y, and Z that's going to get you to that next level if it's not basketball.
Very commendable of you, Coach Dan. I appreciate you. And for those that listen to us right now, so we'll go over a couple questions, gonna let them carry us the way through. Just want to get to talk about basketball pretty much in Charleston, South Carolina. I know that's where I'm currently located at. As we know, the Low Country comes to basketball, got a lot of talent, but we all know that when it comes to this area, from Charleston to North Charleston, Somerville, Moncks Corner, in that particular vicinity, in that 30-40 mile radius, there's a lot of talent, but that talent sometimes gets overlooked. It's not really considered to be as embraced as compared to this football country. You may catch, if you're big into soccer like I am as well, 'cause I coach all three, soccer, basketball, and baseball. That's big in the Mount Pleasant area. So just depends on what side of town you're on, where the flow is. But basketball is sort of like, yeah, we got it, but it's not really embraced. So for you all, how will you sort of like bridge the gap? Because as we know with basketball, the last person, as really made it big is Chris Middleton. He went to Portugal. We know that. But outside of that, in regards to raw talent players, like guys who could have made it, should have made it, very, very skillful players. How can you get basketball in Charleston, in your humble opinion, back to the forefront? Who would like to go?
I'll go ahead and start that. I think that we have to put kids in position, first of all. And it comes with the work ethic in different programs that we have around the whole country area. What is their work ethic as far as getting in the gym and being consistent with working out? We're not saying eat, sleep, and drink basketball because, again, the professional athletes don't do that. They have to take time off as well. But the main thing is, what are we implementing into each, high school program where the coach comes in and instills that level of discipline and level of commitment. But it also has to start with the coaches too. And the main thing is you got coaches in the low country area that are willing to open the gym doors up and get the kids going. But at the same time, there's more work than just opening up the gym. We have to develop a connection with these kids and parents to help them understand what it really takes to get to the next level, because we don't even do research sometimes. And we got, 8 million kids around the US that's trying to, play basketball, but 8 million is not making it to the D1, D2s, and D3s. Only pretty much 500,000 is making it there. And then you got out of that 500,000, maybe 2% that makes it to the professional level. So the main thing is we need to start making a connection, not only with the kids, but we got to make connections with the parents to help them understand the process that it takes to get to that level. And it's not just showing up during the season. It's during the off season when you actually can bring that attention and getting them into AAU programs. If AAU is a thing, getting them into AAU programs. But the main thing is getting them into training, because these college kids, you talk about the women's national basketball team that just won LSU, they're a very great program, but they have personal trainers, personal basketball trainers that they work out with. It's not just a coach. So you got to be committed to the work ethic, and the coaches and trainers, we got to work together. So that's my opinion on what it would take. I'm gonna just pass it on over to someone else. Coach, I'm gonna give it to you. Because you're dealing with kids, and we talk about this all the time, but from your experience, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
So,
with the kids that I work with down in the low country, out of Cross, it's a big gap. And the hardest thing, like Coach said, is just getting them to come out. It's more like you have to be there, showing them different things, drills and everything. And with that being said, when she said the personal trainers, a lot of parents shy away from that, because what they're looking at the money, the fee, what they have to pay. And some of them not going to make that sacrifice or commitment. And you have a few,
Right.
but at the same time, it's kind of hard for where I am for them to just put out that kind of money, whatever it is. So that's why I work out with them in the morning, and those who need that extra work, I pick 2 days out. I let them pick 2 days out the week. We go back from 6 to 7:30.
Right.
So it's you have, like I said, it's a few parents who's buying in, that I have buying into what it is I'm trying to do and change that culture down there.
okay, I got it, Coach. And I know about Cross. I know about a lot of different areas. For me personally, coaching and also going to yeah, I can hear you. Yes, ma'am. Going to an HBCU
Okay.
in the rural area, and seeing basketball at its best. So Coach Dan, what is your take on basketball yourself? What can we do regards to Charleston, South Carolina, the low country basketball?
Yeah, I think it really starts with us coaches getting down to the lower levels. I experienced this last night. My two boys, they played the Cane Bay YMCA, and coaching a 4 and 5 year old team was a thrill for me. I had 9 kids out there trying to kind of get them to do the same drill, but also have fun while doing it. And I think that, we always say how fun things are, but the process is not always fun. It does take that hard work and that work ethic to do that. But I think if we start to kind of start at that really young age where we transition the skill set and the training into more of a fun atmosphere where it's a game that they might play at home, or a game they might, see on TV or something, to where they do enjoy doing that. So when they get up to grade school, when they get up to that middle school level, the desire to do those same things is still there. I mean, being in the middle school teaching, every kid wants to play on the basketball team. Well, we have 12 spots. So the kids who don't make it always come back and ask me why I didn't make the team. Well, what did you do prior to tryouts? They didn't continually have fun with the game and explore their own game and their own skill set, which then in turn let other students and athletes just rise above and get to that level. So to me, really it's just getting down into that lower level to where we can reach one tier at a time, because like coach says said earlier, there's only a very limited amount as you go from tier to tier, middle school to high school, up into college and professionally, that group gets smaller and smaller. So to me, if we get that, to start out really large and get these kids involved, I mean, they're involved in soccer, football. That's the big thing now, is football is growing exponentially at a really young age. But if we can just grow it just as much as these other sports, we're going to be taking a lot of those kids and moving them to the next level.
Oh, definitely commendable. Definitely commendable. The second question, and for those that are listening right now, I hope this is helpful to you. We talk about this thing called prepping athletes for college. Now, for being a college athlete myself, playing Division II sports, did two. Did basketball and did baseball, but baseball was my love. But I've coached 3 sports. I've seen a lot of bias. Coach Dan, from personal experience, even my own household, when my child was well qualified, but there are coaches out there, and I'm not trying to slap them in the face, but they do have a bias. They know who they want to put on the team. So I know for you sound like you're very humble, and you said coach 12 and you got 50, 60 kids. Yeah, I understand you only got 12 people in a spot. But I've seen time and time again, you hear all these people say, I'm going to get you to the college level. And college is not easy, because a lot of things that stop a lot of the youth today's academics do affect the child transitioning to this collegiate level. And then when you even get on the collegiate level, the students don't understand the grasping of that 60 that you may have gotten through in high school. That doesn't coexist in the undergrad. And except in the master's program, you get to see you on probation and moving forward. So how could we sort of help? How are you all going to help these kids prep them for the college level? Because Coach Angela talks about a rural area. So the hunger and the thirst for even getting the looks is a whole nother ball game, because the people saying, I'm going to take a look at this kid in Denmark, South Carolina. Shout out to Denmark Ola Viking ladies for coming runner-up 2nd year in a row to the state championship, state South Carolina. Shout out to Military Magnet ladies for winning back-to-back. But I just want to figure out, how can we sort of help those students prep them to the college level where they understand that this rubric of grades do make a difference and the attitude. So how will you all help them, in your humble opinion? Who wants to go?
Go, Dan.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'll take this a little bit, and the only reason I say that is, my godson, we just been dealing with this past year. You know, every kid wants to play college basketball if they're in the high school, if they're on the high school team. That's the goal, but to get there is so much harder. This kid had tons of talent. Um, he's a very on the floor, off the field, off the floor, high character. But the first couple years that he was in the classroom, they weren't the greatest. Well, transition to his senior year, it took his dedication in the classroom to kind of get that GPA up to where it needed to be, and he did that. But he's got a different head on his shoulders and where he comes from. But the whole aspect of college and preparing kids for college is, and this is something I just learned from myself back in when I was in high school. You only got noticed if a college coach has heard of you. Well, now every kid can get noticed because of the way the online platforms are, with getting highlights and things out there. But I've talked to probably 12 different college coaches, and they're all saying the same thing. What are their grades like, and what is their character like? So those are the first two things that I look at when I look at my team, but also that I try to preach to older kids. What is your character, and what are your grades look like? So getting them to understand that those are the two first things that college coaches ask before about your talent, before about your skill set. They got to get that in their head right away. And it starts, middle school, freshman year, high school, before, senior year comes. You can't just change that. That's a habit that you have to build, your first day on campus as a high school student.
Very commendable for you, Coach Dan. And for those that are listening to us right now, I hope this is helpful to you. Understanding that it is character that you have to build to sort of get that done. Anyone else want to take a stab at it? Because I just want to add on to that question. Talent, raw talent. Say the kid got the grades and the talent is raw. And I'm talking about raw, like it's out the park. Like you as a coach, if he's on the bench, he or she, I'm speaking for both, I'm for both genders. If you got a girls team or the basketball, the talent is so raw that the person is sitting down, the whole stadium gonna say, like, why is that person sitting down? That's your best player on the squad. Or winning breeds money. Money breeds seats. Seats bring tickets. Tickets make you look good as a coach. So if you want to proceed to the higher echelon of maybe someone of a D1 or D2 school calls you, or say you get involved with a professional program, like say you were part of the assistant coaches program or something, how does your character, or I guess you've seen, how does your characters not get corrupted based off of not falling into the gaps? You see players all the time, you see students always saying, well, I want to be like that person. Like they can act like a donkey and they good. The follows are still there. They can still do what they want to do, and they're still controlling themselves without being held accountable. And you mentioned the accountability. Coach Champagne says there's only 2% that makes it to the NBA or professional global level. Just given how crazy that stat is, there's 350 million people live in the United States. The United States alone. So if you say 2% of them, that's maybe thousands, not even 100,000 is going to make it to that upper echelon. That's probably less than 50,000 people are going to be given that one opportunity. It's going to change their whole type of life. So how can you stop the character? How will you be able to get them if they have the talent, they have the grades, and they say, well, why I worry about character? Because my talent going to get me there. Who wants to go?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. To that, I would say it's you have to learn to be unselfish. If you're going to be that selfish, basketball is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. You have to give up some things for the benefit or for the good of your team. And when you do that, everything else will fall in place for you as an individual when you see that you helping your teammates and your team as well as yourself, that makes a difference. You have to reel in some things that you're doing that's just not going to be a fit. Now, I'll take a loss if a kid is acting up that much, and the people are wondering why they sit the bench. Well, they're not doing what they need to do as a team player. This is not an individual sport. I don't care who scores all the points. You get it. If you're not scoring, help your other teammate to score. Create opportunities for them. You have to learn to become a leader. If they have to, you just have to be unselfish. And I've set down some players just because, no, you're not doing what we're asking you to do as a team. Sometimes you have to set aside self for others. To me, that's my spill on it.
I got you, Coach Angela. I like to always give an additional question to that. What do you say to that student? Remember, you keep in mind where you're located at right now, where you coach at Cross High School. Opportunities are they're not always happening very often. And you see people say, well, Coach, I got you, but look where I'm at. So why would I sacrifice for the team where the team itself, I'm the one need to go to college. I'm the one need to put food on the table. I'm the one who's got to take care of my family. I got to make these sacrifices now because we hungry. I'm hungry. And like I said, I don't care about the team can do what they want to do, but I'm the one who's getting the stuff together. You mentioned being a not selfish person, but how can you, as a coach, sort of cope that particular individual? You know, their talent's going to take them way beyond their teammates. The teammates may never have an opportunity of the pro level. They may get a college life opportunity, but not the pro level. And how do you stop that person from not allowing their ego or their sense of, I know I'm good, they know I'm good, you know I'm good, and not just fall into the trap as a coach? I know it's one of the hardest things I've seen a lot, in your humble opinion, Coach.
Yeah. Still, that is something that we, as a coach and a player, would have to talk about. I know that they're in where I am, they're the GOAT, they're it. At the same, it's either you can be a big fish in a small pond or be that small fish in that big pond. If you're going to be the one to bring those college recruiters in because of your play, your style of play, like you said, they're looking at your grades, they're looking at your character. They're also going to read your body language. See what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're allowing to get to you as a player, whether you're level-headed or not. If you're going to let your ego control everything that you need to do to advance you and where you need to go. So, discipline, accountability, your work ethic, what you put in. And if you buy into what the coach is telling you and what your team is what we're trying to do as a team, you're still going to be that person. But if you can buy into what we're doing, you're going to be okay.
Got it.
Yeah, and if I could chime in, my biggest thing with that, it's value, right? What do you bring? What does one particular player bring to the table? Not every kid, like we talked about, is going to score all the points or get all the rebounds, get all the assists, but what else do you bring to the table? The kid who does have bring the college coaches to the gym to watch, great. But you also have other kids that are value, right? You got kids that lead. You got kids that are coachable. You got kids that defend. So what value do you bring? It kind of goes inside with character, right? So, one of my biggest videos that I watch like every season before a season starts is UConn's Coach Gino, talking about why Breonna Stewart sat, for a length of time, and the critics and the reporters were giving him a hard time about it. And he said what Coach Angela said, his body language. You know what I mean? She was getting down on herself. She was getting upset. Whatever, whether she was playing bad, the team was playing bad, the officials weren't calling stuff. You know, it's that body language, it's that character, it's that value. What do you bring to the table? And how we can utilize that to not just make you better, but how can you bring that to make your whole team better, your coach better, your community better? And that's really what, kids nowadays, high school kids, need to start to understand. I mean, for me and everybody else on this call, I have a value that I think I bring to my job. I have a value that I bring to my family. And that's kind of what you got to look at. You got to put on that lens to say, okay, I'm trying out for this basketball team, or I'm trying to make it to this college. What do I value myself at? And if it's, here, but you want to be up here, well, you're going to have to raise the bar. You're going to have to bring that value.
And let me piggyback off of that too. The main thing that you want to do as far as mixing what Coach Dan and Coach Angela state is you want to set a standard that's high from day one. And, to answer your question, Calvin, I've experienced in my coaching career sitting my best player and sitting him 3 games in a row, my starting point guard. And it was because of discipline issues. It was because of this character, this ego. And the main thing was I had to show my starting point guard as a coach that I'm very confident in my team. So when you set that standard and you set the expectations high for each kid that crosses your path and plays in your program, it makes the process a little bit easy. You let them know what your rules are, what you're not going to budge on. And if they continue to show up, that means they bought into it. Now, if they want to test it, then they have to deal with the consequences. So when I set this kid out for 3 games in a row, did I take some heat for that? Did I take some slack from parents and this, that, and the other? Yes, I did. But one thing I did guarantee, and I told that player in front of the whole team, we're not going to lose. I'm going to prove to you that we're not going to lose because your teammates are going to prove to you that they can go on without you. And this is something that you're preparing them for the real world. So you can instill life skills inside of your programs where you let them know the boss don't care who you are. You can easily be replaced because that's anybody who clock into a job. A boss is not going to continuously tolerate certain things from you and expect you to just, continue to, work under their supervision. They're going to find a way to get rid of you and replace you. So this kid, I sat him down 3 games, and the next game, it became a coach's meeting with the kid. And I set my standards again. I had to reiterate my standards. This is my program. This is how I run things. Because when you go to college, this is how they're going to do it. You go on these recruiting trips. Hey, we like you. We want you here. Yes, we love you. And the first day you step on campus, it's not the niceness anymore. They already got your name on the paper. They got you. So now they can be the person that that coach, like, listen, all that recruiting stuff, I had to do that to get you in the building. Now this is my job. This is my job because when you show up and you work for me, my job, my livelihood is contingent on whether or not you're producing. So it's a business now. So we have to start teaching these kids that playing basketball, if you love it, it's a business. It's professionalism. We got to instill these life skills in them at a young age so that when they do get that opportunity to get scouted and everything else, you as a coach, you as a parent can say, listen, I'm confident that my child is going to show up and do what they need to do and not hesitate on, oh my God, is they going to act up today? Nah, there's rules, period. Let's just follow the rules and leave it at that. So that's pretty much how we can actually prepare these kids, because from the experiences that we've had as coaches, yes, we do get some of those kids that will challenge you, but you got to let them know where you stand. I'm not going to be buddy with you Now I got to turn up the juice on my coaching style and groom somebody else, because if you're not going to buy into my system, just move to the wayside. Let's replace you. That's the work. That's the world we live in now, you know?
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And piggyback yourself, another question. Uh, Former NBA player, Mr. Jermaine Jones, is coming back for his second annual basketball camp here in Charleston. Tell us a little bit about that and how that would impact people here in the Low Country.
The main thing that we want to do is start connecting these kids with where they want to go. And Jermaine has been there. Jermaine has been through high school. He's played at, University of Georgia. He's been a first round, draft pick. And the main thing is he's had that experience. But a lot of times we deal with kids in the Low Country area that have the same vision, same dreams of any other kid in this world. When we talk about overseas too, because that's the competition now. So what better way to bring someone in that has played with some of the greatest athletes, played with Kobe Bryant, played with LeBron James, played with Robert Ory. I mean, just so many different people that Jermaine has been experienced with getting on the court and also defending. But he will tell you his experience of getting into the league when he played with Allen Iverson and going to the 76ers. And he wants to share that with these kids and let them know, yeah, I did all this stuff in high school. I did all this stuff in college. But when I got to the league, I'm scoring 30 points at UGA, right? They draft me in the first round. I get to the 76ers and coach tells me, oh, you better find something else to do because we got a scorer. We got Allen Iverson. That's our scorer. That's our go-to person. So you have to figure out your role. And a lot of times it felt good being drafted, right? It felt good, with the Sixers working out and yeah, we want you. But as soon as he got to the facility, it was, I don't care what you did in college. This is what you're going to do here. So he had to figure it out. So what we want to do is pretty much Jermaine wants to come in. We've done this before and, just give these kids insights, not only on work ethic, but discipline. We got to talk about what it is as far as what is your drive? What is your plans for the future? Yes. Yeah. Everybody, I want to play in the NBA. At the last camp we had, how many of y'all want to play in the NBA? Me. Okay. He said, okay, well, not all y'all gonna make it. It might be one of y'all that make it out of this whole group right here. But what's the backup plan? Kids think that they go to college and they just play ball. No, you go to college to get a degree. Playing ball is just the fun part that pays for it. But we're coming in, we want to implement, we want these kids to open up their minds a little bit more, expand their knowledge on understanding that not everybody's going to make it. Let's be honest, not every kid is going to make it to the NBA. Not every kid is going to make it to the WNBA. What's your backup plan? So we're going to do some drills. He's going to take them through a series of drills. And then we're also going to have some talks with them, some chats with them about real life stuff,
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Final question, and I'll let everybody have an opportunity to talk about this. The state of basketball in the state of South Carolina. In the past 10 years, we've had 3 basketball players who I believe is well known enough. They got their names. If you say the name, you know who you're talking about. Chris Middleton, shooting guard for the good old Milwaukee Bucks. Mr. Zion Williamson, power forward for the New Orleans Hornets. Pelicans, excuse me, I'm sorry. And Mr. Ja Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies. Just to go a little piggyback, a little of understanding, and I definitely want you to take it away for us with this Coach Champagne. Let everybody else have a chance as well. Ja Morant and Zion Williamson, 2 different stories. Zion, when he first applied for college, he was by the top 5 recruit to be looked at in the state of South Carolina and across the nation. He chose not to go to one South Carolina school. Ja Morant, at first, talent wasn't really looked upon. People overlooked it. So he got an opportunity The story goes like something of a found, like a golden goose. Just they found him at some kind of AAU facility. They said, like, oh, who is this kid? And Murray State said, yeah, I want this kid to come on board. Chris Middleton, going through the gutter. As we know, Portugal, another, took in his way there. So the state of South Carolina basketball, in your humble opinion, how can we get that mindset to sort of filter to make a change? Because as we know, South Carolina athletes on the women's side, we got Coach Staley, one of the number best coaches in the country, hands down. If the ball would have turned a little bit different, you probably let the girl Gamecocks playing LSU in the national championship. I'm not biased. I'm just saying, if you watch the game enough, LSU did the exact same thing South Carolina was doing, just that the ball didn't roll that way. And I got some heart in me. So listen, I'm not putting out there all this kind of back and forth about who you want to be. I'm just saying, if you watch the game, you would say you live by the 3, you die by the 3. So, Coach, your humble opinion, what can we do to get the state of South Carolina basketball back to where it needs to be?
I think that we have to kind of sort of buy into the philosophy. We have to connect with some of these players, from South Carolina. A lot of times we got good products. We have great products in South Carolina, but our universities, it's not really selling it. Think about it. Dawn has done her thing. Kids want to flock to USC, one of the top programs in the nation. And now she's being challenged with LSU, and you got other programs that are, like the UConns and things of that nature. But I think that let's talk about the girls, then we'll go to the boys' side. Dawn Staley loves recruiting in South Carolina. She loves it. She wants to keep these kids in South Carolina, but at the same time, these kids want to go elsewhere. Her work ethic, her style of coaching, her expectations, sometimes these kids don't have it because there's a disconnect between the high school coaches and the college coach. Let's just be real. Unless you really understand the game and you make a connection, let's get these kids into her camps. She offers multiple camps, right? Then we got the guys side. Well, we look at the Gamecocks, the boys. We look at Clemson. Clemson at one point was doing their thing. At one point, Gamecocks was doing their thing. We're not going to forget about the HBCUs, the South Carolina States, the College of Charleston. Think about them. They just made a major run in the NCAA tournament. They did very well. But how do we get these kids to understand that staying home and representing their state? Again, we gotta develop a connection with high school coaches as well as college coaches in the state. Just coming in, walking through the school sometimes is not enough. Sometimes you have to do an invite only with some programs and just some coaches. Have a coaches clinic with some of these coaches and demand that, and show up for the coaches clinic. Let's be honest, show up for the coaches clinic. Let's get you in a room where we can actually get these coaches to understand the expectations of these programs. Now, you talk about Jarman Morant, you talk about Zion Williamson, you talk about Chris Middleton. I got a chance to watch Chris growing up, see him playing in high school and this, that, and the other. Chris played for TMP, the AAU program, which really travels outside of the state. It travels and goes to different places. So the opportunities are there. But let's have some meaningful AAU tournaments in South Carolina as well, where we can get these scouts to come in and, South Carolina schools get the first dibs on, recruiting these kids. But our AAU tournament, sometimes there's not one scout out there. These kids are sometimes just playing just to play. Let's get them in meaningful tournaments where they can get that exposure. And I think we can keep these kids into South Carolina. But again, South Carolina is a football state. Think about it. So how do we really push to implement basketball the same way we implement football? I'm going to pass that to Coach Angela, because I'm going to put her on the hot spot. How do we do that? I mean,
absolutely, Coach Angela.
Got you.
Well, Yeah, she got me that time. Well, like she said, the AAU tournaments is a big help with getting some of these coaches, college coaches, to come in. Don't let them be out there playing just to play.
Mhm.
Now, when Premier had a tournament, I probably saw 2 or 3. The tournament was held it was an LBI showcase held at Stall High School. I probably saw 2 or 3 scouts that came in and watched the game. Now, say we go to North Carolina with travel ball, they're lined up. They're lined up. So we as coaches have to lobby more for our kids to get them to come in, because we are kind of like the forgotten state with girls and with boys. Like Dale, where I am, they push football more than they do basketball. That is true. So I'm trying my best to change the narrative with this camp that we're doing, as well as I have a few coaches that already sent me certain things for my girls, for my players, to get them exposed. Yet still, they have to buy into, I need to attend this camp. We going as a team or as an individual to showcase my talent. We have the kids here on the high school level, as well as these 8 travel teams putting together teams to accommodate these players to play. But at the same time, it all comes back to money.
Absolutely. Okay.
And having a place big enough to hold a tournament to where we can say we have these coaches coming in, this coach coming in, and not saying it's being live streamed. It's nothing wrong with live stream, but sometimes kids just want to see that coach face and say, "Wow, they're here."
Right.
Let me go ahead and just play. They're coming to see us. We got to play. We got to be, we got to put our best foot forward, and we can't let others kind of like knock our dream of trying to get our kids out there, trying to help them. Well, they're not that good. They're not this, or they're not that. Work with them, build on it, help them to believe. They believe they can do it. So why can't I believe they can do it? We just have to, like you said, plant that seed. I think we'd be okay.
Right.
Amen. Amen. All right.
Also, my thoughts on that. You brought up, the difference between Chris Middleton and Zion Williamson and John Morant. Well, John Morant progressed through college. He did go to Murray State, but at the same time, Zion and Chris were already at the top of their, the number one kid in the state. You know what I mean? So they're going to get snatched up by the top D1 programs outside of the state. So I think it's up to, like they said, the college coaches to tell these kids it's okay to stay in state. That's where I think a lot of these kids look at, well, Clemson is a football school, South Carolina football school, Charleston, College of Charleston, is it okay to go downtown and play basketball down there? You know what I mean? So getting the education out to these kids that, beyond basketball, they have all the same academic programs. We're trying to set you up for your future,
Right.
So getting that education out there is kind of what we also want to get to these kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for those that are watching this right now, I want you to take heed to what's saying. The state of South Carolina basketball in general, state of South Carolina is very rich. There's a lot of opportunities. The biggest thing I can tell you is that the Bible says faith without works is dead. And the Bible says now faith is substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I believe if you have a foundation that's going to build you, it's like you're building a house. You got to find what area you're going to first build the structure on. Make sure the soil is good. I'm going to work with that soil. When I layer these layers down, I'm going to start claiming this is going to be the bedroom. This is going to be the living room, whatever it's going to be. That's just say, well, hey, I'm going to get better in my dribbling. I'm going to get better in my jump shot. I'm going to get better in my defense. I'm going to get better on sliding my feet. I'm going to work on the classroom. I'm going to be an athlete. I'm going to do some things that others don't talk about. Maybe I'm a great player, but you know what? God you said it's as far as I'm gonna go. So now, son, I'm gonna make you a daughter. I'm gonna make you a coach. Well, college coaches is available. Maybe at high school level. You'll never know what God will take you.
Right.
And you say, well, you know, God, I'm gonna go this route. Maybe I want to be a trainer. I'm gonna take it to a whole other level. You know, I got gifts, I got talents. I can do this, Lord. Or maybe you want to be the accountant for the team. You want to handle the money, but you're still something you love doing. See, the problem that we got to understand as the journey, it's a process. If you know the game and you love the game, it will always be with you. So just take it from personal experience from these people that you see. They can play. Don't let these people fool you now. Sometimes the coaches that play, some of the coaches, they all that fiber and the energy, they just say to themselves, if I can just go back in time and just tweak one thing, then life will be totally different. But God has a purpose for them. So take heed, South Carolina. Take heed that God has a plan for us. And I promise you, if we keep him first, our lives never be the same. Hey, it's all the time I got. My name is Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. We love you, and we will see you soon.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.